On the morning of October 8, 2005, the rugged valleys of northern Pakistan and Azad-Kashmir were waking up to a peaceful Saturday during the holy month of Ramadan. The towering peaks of the western Himalayas looked exactly as they had for generations, ancient, stoic, and completely immovable. But at precisely 8:50 a.m., that illusion of permanent stillness was shattered. Deep beneath the earth, a massive section of the Balakot Bog fault line snapped. In a matter of seconds, a magnitude 7.6 earthquake tore through the region. While the violent shaking leveled entire cities like Muzaffarabad and Balakot in moments, eyewitnesses in the surrounding rural valleys reported something even more terrifying, something that defied the laws of nature. The mountains themselves were moving, not just shaking, but flowing. Huge swaths of forest and rock began cascading downwards, behaving less like solid earth and more like high-velocity liquid. To understand why the mountains collapse so spectacularly, you have to look at the unique geological trap that defines Kashmir. The Indian tectonic plate is constantly driving northward, ramming into the massive Eurasian plate at a rate of roughly 4 to 5 centimeters every year. This slow-motion continental collision is what built the Himalayas in the first place. But in northern Pakistan, this collision creates a tight, highly compressed structural bend known as the Hazara-Kashmir Syntaxis. Think of it like a heavy rug being violently bunched up against a wall. The rock formations here are subjected to immense, unending tectonic pressure. This constant pushing doesn't just fold the earth, it shatters it. The mountain slopes of Kashmir are primarily made of two rock types: the Murray Formation, which consists of heavily fractured sandstone, siltstone, and clay, and the Muzaffarabad Formation, which is composed of ancient carbonate rocks deeply shattered by millions of years of grinding. When the fault ruptured, the earthquake wasn't shaking a solid wall of stone. It was shaking a massive steep stack of pre-fractured brittle building blocks that were already on the verge of structural failure. Making matters worse was a phenomenon known as topographic amplification. When seismic waves travel through flat ground, they disperse relatively evenly. But when those same waves hit a steep mountain ridge, they are forced upward and focus at the very peak. The shaking actually intensifies as it climbs the slope, violently whipping the mountain tops back and forth. This extra energy literally snapped off the tops of ridges, launching millions of tons of rock and soil down into the valleys below. Nowhere was this phenomenon more devastatingly illustrated than in the remote valley of Hattian Bala. As the earthquake struck, a massive ridge known as Dana Hill, towering hundreds of meters above the valley floor, completely lost its structural integrity. This was not a standard slow-moving rockfall. This was a Sturzstrom, a massive, ultra-high-velocity debris avalanche. An estimated 80 million cubic meters of rock and debris broke away in one cohesive mass. As it plunged down the slope, the sheer volume and speed trapped air beneath the rock, allowing the avalanche to dynamically fluidize. Traveling over 1.5 kilometers in a matter of seconds, the landslide crossed the valley floor with enough momentum to climb up the opposite hillside. It instantly buried 3 entire villages under a mountain of rubble, claiming roughly 1,000 lives, and dumped a debris pile over 130 meters thick across the local streams. The mountainside moved so much earth that it blocked the valley entirely, creating 2 massive new landslide-dammed lakes. The tragedy did not end when the shaking stopped. The 2005 earthquake permanently altered the landscape, leaving thousands of steep slopes unstable, deeply fissured, and completely stripped of vegetation. For years afterward, the mountainsides remained active, waiting for the weather to reactivate them. The primary earthquake had cracked open huge deep fissures across thousands of mountain spurs, detaching the top layers of soil from the bedrock underneath. When the winter snows melted the following spring, water poured deep into those fissures, lubricating the unstable rock plains. When the torrential summer monsoons arrived, the waterlogged soil turned into fast-moving mudflows and recurring landslides along critical river valleys and roads. Major transportation corridors, which were vital for delivering aid and rebuilding communities, were repeatedly buried or washed away by mountainsides that simply refused to settle down. It took nearly 5 full years of natural stabilization and gradual plant regrowth before the region's battered landscapes finally began to return to a state of equilibrium. The 2005 Kashmir earthquake resulted in over 80,000 casualties and left millions homeless. Geologists estimate that nearly one-third of those fatalities were caused not by collapsing buildings, but directly by the mountainsides coming alive. Entire mountainsides stripped of their soil slid down to swallow homes, schools, and roads, isolating entire populations from rescue efforts for days. The disaster forced the global scientific community to completely reevaluate how they map hazard zones in high mountain regions. Today, scientists use advanced satellite imagery to track active ground shifting, understanding that in the Himalayas, the peaks above can be just as dangerous as the faults below. It proved that in mountainous terrain, a seismic hazard is not just a threat to the structures we build on the ground. It is a threat from the ground itself. The mountains of Kashmir stand quiet once again, but their scarred slopes serve as a stark, permanent reminder of that October morning. When the earth moves in the shadow of the Himalayas, the very ground beneath your feet can transform from solid rock to a roaring river of stone in the blink of an eye. What do you think of this dramatic geological event? Can we ever truly build safely in the shadow of growing mountains, or are we always at the mercy of tectonic forces? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the powerful forces that shape our planet.